Hello, I'm Darrell Holland with Holland's Long Range Shooting Schools, and today we're going to share with you some important tips and tricks in perfecting your prone position when shooting at long range in the field. The prone position is by far the most popular position after we've stalked into place from either a hilltop or a knoll, allowing us to make that precision shot at an animal at long range. All long-range shooters need to have a butt support of some type. This is the Holland field bag produced by our company, Holland Shooter Supply. It clips on your belt. It gives you a three-way height adjustment for supporting the butt of the rifle. It's not that easy, however. Anytime that we use an artificial rear support for the rifle, it must not interrupt the tracking under recoil of the rifle. So it's important that the bag be positioned at 90 degrees to the recoiling axis of the rifle. We don't want the bag at an angle, we don't want the edge of the bag supporting the butt, because as the gun recoils and moves rearward, it can shift off of the bag, affecting the point of impact of our shot. When we're in a tall vertical position, make sure that the bag again is supported firmly under the rifle. Do not allow the bag to be tilted in this position, because as the gun recoils, it's compressing the bag, and this too will cause a vertical point of impact change. Use our left hand to squeeze the bag, adjusting minutely the vertical aiming reference. Simply by squeezing the bag, our face pressure is on top of the stock, creating a solid, virtually non-compressible support for the butt of the rifle. It's important to note that the bullet will remain in the barrel for approximately 24 thousandths of a second, and that the rifle will recoil rearward approximately 3/8 of an inch before the bullet exits the barrel. It's during this time that it is most critical and what most shooters refer to as follow-through. From the time the trigger breaks, the gun must be allowed to recoil in a straight, uninterrupted line through the shoulder pocket for 24 thousandths of a second and approximately 3/8 of an inch of travel of the rifle during recoil. This allows the bullet to get out of the barrel on its way to the target uninterrupted. After that, our whole platform could theoretically break down and have no influence on the rifle. But if during that 24 thousandths of a second we flinch, we tighten up our shoulder muscles, or mash the trigger, we've already induced energy into the rifle, which will affect the point of impact of the shot. Now let's take a minute and work from the back of the rifle to the front of the rifle and take a look at proper bipod setup and technique. The bipod is an indispensable accessory for the long-range shooter. We use and recommend Harris S-Series bipods for all of our long-range shooting students. The S-Series allows the shooter to articulate the rifle left and right, bringing the scope reticle into a plumb position, which is critical for the shot. Once that is done, we simply lock the bipod down. For those of you that have used Harris bipods, remember that knurled knob underneath, the one that you had to constantly fuss and fidget with in order to get the right amount of tension to hold the rifle in place? No more. With a Holland brand pod lock, we simply remove the knurled nut, install our pod lock lever, and now we can quickly and efficiently adjust the tension for the shot, allowing the rifle to recoil in one direction only, straight back into the shooter's shoulder pocket. Very important consideration. Once the bipod is adjusted now, we're ready to build into the physical mechanics of a shooter behind the rifle. So let's bring a shooter in now and show the proper body position to make that perfect long-range shot. We've searched high and low. We've had to promise him $50 and a steak dinner when we're done, but we found a guinea pig today that's going to help us demonstrate the proper shooting positions behind the rifle. Jonathan, how are we doing today?
I'm doing good. You, Darrell?
I'm doing really well. Jonathan will show us the proper techniques, and I will get around and manipulate his body, getting him into the perfect position, allowing the gun to recoil and be controllable for that long-range shot. All right, Jonathan, let's get started. This is a common mistake most shooters make when they get into the prone position in the field. You will note that Jonathan's body position is at a very acute angle to the rifle. This has forced the butt of the rifle out on the ball of the shoulder or the outside of the shoulder rather than on the inside of the shoulder pocket, allowing the rifle to recoil in a straight line through the shooter. So if Jonathan were to pull the trigger now in this body position, the rifle is going to torque and jump and pivot off of this point of the shoulder. Okay, this will definitely affect the shot. So now let's bring Jonathan's body position in correctly behind the rifle. Go ahead and shift your body now, Jonathan, and get in correctly behind that rifle. Okay, by doing so now, a little bit more, that's still a little bit of an angle, about another movement, there we go. All right, right about there. So now Jonathan's at maybe a 5-degree cant off of the axis of the rifle. The butt of the rifle now has moved into the shoulder pocket, allowing a much more stable shooting position, allowing the rifle to recoil in a straight line. You'll notice that Jonathan's right hand now is on the grip and is compressing the butt of the rifle into the shoulder pocket with about 6 to 8 pounds of compression. No need for a death grip here. Another mistake of a lot of shooters is they put the death grip on the rifle and it's an energy transfer. If their form is not absolutely perfect, if they mash the trigger by preloading the rifle with this amount of muscle tension, it is immediately transferred into the rifle before the bullet exits the barrel, and it will definitely influence the shot. Jonathan is compressing the butt into the shoulder pocket with a mere 6 to 8 pounds. Not a death grip. His right hand is supported on his elbows. He has a comfortable grip on the rifle. His left hand is compressing the field bag now, creating a very solid support from the buttstock down through the field bag. The field bag positioning is 90 degrees to the axis line of the recoil through Jonathan's body. Here's another view. We can see Jonathan's got a lot of his chest and stomach in contact with the ground. That is good. Don't perch yourself up on your elbows. He's got good elbow support. He's got wide support between his elbows, creating a very stable platform. Let's take a view now of Jonathan's arm. We can see he's got all of those muscles flexed there. He's really compressing the rifle deep into the arm. Watch what happens when he relaxes. Go ahead and relax your grip. 6 to 8 pounds, it's all that's necessary. We've reduced the amount of energy transfer into the rifle. If you have a problem flinching, simply take the thumb out of the equation. Rather than putting it over the top of the stock, rotate it to the side of the stock. Trigger compression, as we like to call it, is one of the most important aspects of accurate long-range shooting. You must be able to squeeze or compress the trigger in a straight line through the buttstock into the shoulder pocket. Proper positioning of the trigger finger is important. Jonathan is now demonstrating what we like to think is an improper technique by having too much of his trigger finger wrapped around the trigger. This doesn't really enable him to visualize a straight line compression back through the gun, and he'll have more of a tendency to induce torque into the trigger squeeze, especially if it's a heavy recoiling gun and the shooter has a tendency to flinch. Let's take a look now at what Jonathan has. His fingers wrapped completely around the trigger. Proper trigger position now is to move the tip of the finger out on the trigger, and Jonathan will be visualizing compressing the trigger back through the center line of the stock, clear to the shoulder pocket. He will inhale, oxygenating the body, exhale, and in the natural respiratory pause, that signals the subconscious mind to compress the trigger smoothly, uninterrupted, breaking the shot. Jonathan, go ahead. Beautiful. That was a perfect shot. The rifle recoiled uniformly there. He had excellent follow-through, no interruption in the shot. Jonathan, I want to thank you for your efforts today. You did a good job.
You're welcome. Thank you.
And I want to thank you for taking the time to view our information on the prone position in the field. If you require more information on long-range shooting, see our webpage at hollandguns.com. Thank you.
Cut. Now where's my $50?
50 bucks? I don't remember anything about 50 bucks.